Hey guys, my name is Matteo, and today, because Rainbow Six Siege is now bigger than ever, there are now more people playing the game since the launch of the title, one question I've been hearing a lot lately is, how do I get better at the game? Rainbow Six Siege has a very high skill ceiling. There's a lot that you need to learn to be proficient, and for a lot of gamers that are jumping on in, because there's a lot of new people, it's very daunting, especially now when you're going against people who have been playing since the very beginning. And so what I wanted to accomplish today was to go over some basic and general tips that will hopefully help you out. And so easily, the most important thing that you need to learn as quickly as possible is map knowledge. If you do not know the layout of the map, you are going to have a hard time being successful. Doesn't matter if you have the best pinpoint-like accuracy. You could be a god in other first-person shooters, you could be getting headshots left and right, but if you don't know where the enemy is going to be hiding and you don't know all the nooks and crannies, you're going to have a very hard time being successful. And so one piece of advice that I have is to be proactive while you're playing the game. Don't just passively observe what happens to you. If you get taken out, don't just contribute it to the enemy getting lucky. Figure out where they were positioned with the kill cam and where you are positioned so that you can either avoid that situation in the future or you can take advantage of that sneaky spot that they killed you at. I cannot tell you how much I have learned. I probably actually learned more about this game from observing the kill cam and watching where they took me out from. You learn all different sorts of positions. And while I will not lie to you, it's still going to take a significant amount of time for you to learn every single one of the map's layouts. I mean, that's just going to be a part of the game. Like anything in life, practice makes perfect, but if you could take one thing away from today's video, this would be the advice that I have for you. Be proactive. I cannot tell you how much it's improved my gameplay and how it's really allowed me to succeed on basically every single one of the maps in Rainbow Six Siege. Another piece of advice that I have is always aim where you assume the enemy's head is going to be. This might seem pretty simple to a lot of you, but I noticed that there's a lot of gamers in Siege who first get started where their crosshair is all over the place. It's aiming down on the ground, they're aiming up the ceiling, they're whipping around all over the place, and because of this, when they finally do get in conflict with someone, they have to make large adjustments either with their mouse or their analog sticks when they're playing on console, and that gives the enemy more time and opportunity to line up a headshot against you. Headshots are king in Rainbow Six Siege. I mean, it's the fastest time to kill that you can have. One bullet going through an enemy's skull is gonna secure the kill. And so if you do not need to spend that split second adjusting your aim to line up the headshot, you're gonna win more firefights consistently. Crosshair Discipline is a big deal in Rainbow Six Siege, and hopefully if I've done my job properly in today's video, you've noticed that I'm always making these predictions. Sometimes I don't even have to move my mouse. The enemy just rounds the corner, my crosshair is right there, I squeeze the trigger, and the enemy dies in front of me. It may not be as advantageous as learning the maps because you just first need to know where the enemy is going to be coming from, but once you do have that basic knowledge, this is going to allow you to win these firefights. Another thing I can't stress enough is to use your drones constantly. Your drones are your lifeline. I cannot tell you how vulnerable I feel when I don't have a drone and I need to enter a room where I have no idea where the enemy is. As soon as I do, and especially if I can get a drone inside and the enemy doesn't realize it's there because they're gonna move. As soon as they spot the drone, they're gonna move. But if they don't move because they haven't spotted it, you pretty much get a free kill. Drones are incredible. Knowledge is power in Rainbow Six Siege, and drones are one of the best ways of going about it. Another thing I recommend is to constantly communicate with teammates. Not only is it going to make the game more satisfying and rewarding, but it's also a key component of Rainbow Six Siege. I cannot tell you how much of a disadvantage I feel when no one's talking on my team. When I ask, hey, where'd you get taken out? Where is the enemy? And all I'm met with silence, I feel very vulnerable. As soon as people are making these callouts and I get a general idea of where the enemy is positioned, I can take advantage of that knowledge and hopefully come out on top. If you haven't noticed the trend yet, Siege is more about intelligence than it is about quick reflexes and killing the enemy with your awesome accuracy. That is a very large component, but you need teamwork, you need communication, and figuring out where the enemy is way more important in this game, at least in my opinion, and one of the best ways of doing that is having communication. If you're new to the game and you don't know any of the callouts, because that's to be expected, you're new, why would you? Just use short descriptive words. I got shot out of the window. They're on the front doorway. They're behind the couch. They're behind the counter. Just to give your team a general idea of what's happening when you enter into the room. They're going to be able to piece other things together. When someone says they died out of a window, I'm now going to be more cautious when I enter into a room where there's a lot of windows. Not only that, if you're not aware, right directly next to your compass on the bottom right-hand side of the screen, it tells you what room room you're in. Are you in construction? Are you in the shop? Are you in the visa office? And a lot of people, especially the veterans, know those callouts now. And so if you just don't know what room you're in, glance down at the bottom right there and call that out, and you're going to be good to go a majority of the time. Also, never be afraid to ask questions. If you have a teammate that's doing something weird or you just don't understand a certain mechanic, just ask your teammates. As long as you're being nice and you're not being annoying about it, while they might brush you off because they may not have a microphone themselves, I find that in most situations, your teammates are gonna be responsive. They're like, oh yeah, I'm doing this because of this reason. Oh, you're not aware of the bandit trick? Well, here's how it works. And while sure I may have been able to figure all of this out on my own, but why take the time to do so if the resource is here? You may come across a couple of bad apples, that's unavoidable. They may call you a noob for not knowing certain mechanics, but don't let that deter you. One of the things I enjoy most about Rainbow Six Siege is the community. In general, most people that you come across are gonna be nice, and as long as you're nice in return, they're gonna have no problem answering your questions. The final piece of advice that I have, and a question that I get all the time, is what operators should I be using on offense and defense if I'm new to the game? If you're playing on the attacking side, I always recommend Ash, Sledge, Thermite, and Thatcher. Thermite might be one that you want to avoid if you're brand spanking new to the game and you don't understand all the mechanics, because the team is going to rely on you a bit. But you pick any of these four, it doesn't matter what map or what game mode, you're going to have an operator that is going to exceed on each and every single one of these maps. As for the defensive side, you can't go wrong with Rook, Mute, and Jaeger. Jaeger's got an incredibly powerful weapon that doesn't even really require you to get headshots. It hits that hard. Mute is very versatile for newer players. He's got a very accurate gun that doesn't have a lot of recoil. His gadget, while maybe not the most useful, is always going to at least have some sort of presence on each map. And then Rook is arguably the best defensive operator in the game and doesn't really require a lot of thought. You place down his armor plates and you're good to go. But yeah, guys, that is about it for my tips and advice on how to improve your gameplay in Rainbow Six Siege. I hope you enjoyed. I realize that this isn't the most advanced tactics or tips in the game. A lot of you have been here since the very beginning, and this is going to be old news, but I know that a lot of people are new to the game, and hopefully this was at least somewhat helpful. But yeah, guys, until tomorrow, have a good one, and take it easy.